Blood, sweat, and tears were shed for our rights. Even more blood was shed for our right to vote. Several amendments of our Constitution were put in place in rights for action to vote. The 14th Amendment declares that all persons born within the U.S. are citizens and guaranteed rights and privileges. The 15th Amendment declares that no citizen is denied the right to vote based on color, race, or previous condition of servitude. The 19th Amendment declares that no citizen shall be abridged of their right to vote based on sex, which give the women the right to vote. United States history is filled with important people and events that contribute to our rights to vote. A civics education program by the Secretary of State, Natalie Tennant, describes that women's suffrage was a major event in historical aspect. Women protested at rallies and ignored the verbal and physical abuse and assault they received. Years and years of protest eventually paid off, and now women can vote with no questions asked. In 2014, the total population in the United States was 23.9 million people. The actual citizens in 2014 was 219.9 million people. The registered population to vote was 142.2 million people, and out of the 142.2 million, 64.9% voted. According to economist.com, the 2014 voting turnout showed that most voters are over the age of 65. The older population knows their rights, and they have seen the country go good to bad. The middle-aged and younger population seems to not think that their votes matter. When hundreds to thousands think their votes don't matter, it greatly affects the results of elections. Now that you've seen the percentage of voter turnout in 2014, let's discuss the problems with it. There are many problems when only 64.9% are voting in elections. One of the problems is that a large number of people don't value voting. So many young people like you and I aren't educated on who fought for the right to vote. Many people don't understand the value voting has on our country. Another problem is that people who choose not to vote are usually the ones who are unhappy. You who don't vote are the ones who usually complain about the outcome of elections. So many of those of you who want your ideas and views to be nationwide don't make the effort to vote. One of the biggest problems we have with low voter turnout is the effect on our nation. When we don't have more than half the population voting, results may not reflect the true values and opinions of the society. Politicians may not be voted into office based on the stance of views, but just the chance of by their popularity and the percentage of population that is voting. New ideas, improvements, and new laws depend on who the citizens elect. The extent of our problem is clear, so what steps can we make to have a better voter turnout? There are 3 major steps we can take to solve the voting issue as a country. First, we need to educate our young population as best we can. This will help so that the young population turns 18, they will want to vote. This will allow our nation to show the young population that voting is a responsibility as a citizen. Setting up campaigns for young adults to become interested in elections can help the younger voter population. Secondly, we need to inform the population and importance of voting. This will help those of you on the fence take a step forward towards registering to vote. People who never thought of voting may realize its importance. We need to make absentee ballot voting simple and easy for those who can't get to voting booths. Voting places need to be accessible and advertised well in towns and cities. Thirdly, our nation as a whole must strive to prove that every vote matters. Every citizen must know how their vote impacts the nation overall. This will help increase voter turnout once people see the real cold hard facts. We must push people to vote based on their views, not just on names or popularity. In 2014 alone, out of 142.2 million registered voters, only 92.2 million actually casted their vote. That isn't enough, and something must be done to increase the amount of people we have voting. There is no way to get every single U.S. citizen to vote, but we can try to get more young and minority populations voting, by making sure everyone is educated and understands that their votes matter. Pushing for higher voter turnout may seem over the top or not necessary to most, but to me, voting means so much more than just marking a few boxes in a voting booth on a Tuesday. A quote by Hillary Clinton states, "Voting is the most precious right of every citizen, and we have the moral obligation to ensure the integrity of our voting process." Election time is near once again. It is time for you to educate others and use your right to vote.